Okay, 6 hours in to the Ludum Dare. Where's that countdown? There we go, 6 hours in. What have I got so far? Okay, I've decided to make like a grid-based shooter. And so far, I've got the player object moving around on the grid. And I've got a reticle that goes with the mouse, so you control with the arrow keys or the WASD, and I've also included the European keys in there. So WASD, and using the mouse to shoot around. And you see it's constantly in motion. Once you start moving, you don't stop moving, so it's always frantic. Now the enemies are going to be working on exactly the same grid as this, and they're basically just going to be heat seekers. They're going to be coming along trying to get to the closest part of the grid. Now the trick is going to be when the enemy gets shot, then that part of the grid, the enemy's going to explode, of course, cool. But also that part of the grid is going to explode. So that's going to make that unmovable. Now I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to do that. The whole thing's stored in an array. This grid manager here. Okay, so these are all custom meshes. Okay, so as you see, look, they're all separate individual items. So even if I pull that one out, see, they're all individual grid meshes. Now I'm going to change the color, and I'll probably even change the scaling, like how thick the walls are. Again, this is all going to be polished at the end of the kind of thing, but basically the mechanic which I do have to get working is when something explodes in that area, this thing's going to disappear for a while. It's going to be unwalkable. Okay, so it's not going to exist. So grid manager, now that's setting the grid up and instantiating all the objects. But yeah, oh yeah, well, no, that's where it's going to be. The grid size. So yeah, that's the point. Yeah, every single individual mesh on the grid is stored in a two-dimensional array. So quite basically, I'm just going to have the player cross-check their position with this world grid position, and then check the mesh and the condition of the mesh, if it's visible or not. Well, no, it's not. It's the world grid, which is the float. That's why I've got the 100 there. The world grid is at the position is going to have a health. So the player object is going to check the health of the grid position that it's on, and if it's less than, say, 10% or something, then it's not walkable, and then the player will be exploded as well. Okay, and player manager. Yeah, so like I said, I just try to take care of all the inputs, because where was it? I saw it's a groovy little thing I found. So I didn't realize that Europeans had a different kind of layout. They didn't have a QWERTY, they had an AZERTY layout. So I've tried to consider that. So I have included the arrow keys and also this QZ instead of the AW configuration for non-standard QWERTY keyboards. So hopefully it'll fit everyone playing keyboard and mouse configuration. Now, of course, it's possible to transfer these controls to joystick input, but I'm going to make this just a web player game for now, and just strictly keyboard inputs. Okay, that's the story so far. What else have I covered? Yeah, I've got the reticle. Follows the mouse position around, shoots that mouse position. Like I said, once you start moving, you don't stop. You gotta keep moving. And I've just built. I'm just going to start working on the enemy object and get its intelligence and get its grid movement working and get its shooting going as well. It's all part of the package. But here's the story at the 6 hour mark.